life, your career, and your business. And want to welcome everyone to Be Encouraged TV. And once we bring on our guests, listen, you all want to be ready to answer some questions or get some feedback to some questions that you might have in reference to job strategies during the pandemic, about resumes, about recruiting, because my guest that I'm bringing on in a couple of minutes is going to give you some good information. So listen, here at Be Encouraged TV, our goal is to encourage people in their life, their career, and their business. And so today I want to encourage people around a quick word: purpose. All right, purpose. And so purpose is understanding what you was created for and what you should be purposefully doing on a daily basis. So I want to let you all know that you have purpose in you, and you should actually start working on your purpose. So don't allow somebody else to tell you what your purpose is. Why not you actually start working on your purpose? So listen, if you have purpose, listen, give me a thumbs up, put some comments in the comment section, because the goal today is to walk in a purposeful life, purposeful career, and a purposeful business. So listen, you know what? I'm not going to hold us longer than we should. So I am so happy that I am bringing on my next guest. Her name is Charise Wilson. She is from Workforce Ready Solutions, and she's going to be talking about job search strategies amid the pandemic. And so, as you all know, we are facing some times here that that we haven't seen before. And so she's going to help us out as it relates to what we need to do for job strategies, what we need to do to be more focused about those strategies, and how do we set ourselves up for success. And so, Cerise, listen, if you can just introduce yourself, that would be awesome. And you know what? We just gonna get rolling. So thank you very much for being a part of Be Encouraged TV, and thank you for taking time to share with everybody today.
Well, first of all, Kareem, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. You did such a great introduction already. Again, my name is Charise Wilson. I'm with Workforce Ready Solutions, and just very passionate about just helping people to have strategies when it comes to job searching, especially during this time. So this is something that I've been doing for a while. Basically, my career has been in career services and supporting people through recruiting and other employment solution strategies.
Awesome. So as it relates to what you do, can you just, before we go into all of the questions that we already have prepared, like, what is it that people should be thinking about right now?
Well, I would say a lot of people right now are having to work from home, and it's just a very unique situation, something that they're not typically used to. And so, this is a really good time to start thinking about your professional development. How can you market yourself, set yourself up for success? And this is probably the best time to do that. Reevaluate. Do I need to make some changes to my career? What areas do I need to beef up on? Because the more marketable you can be right now, the better, and the more that you can be utilized in various industries. So that would be something I would definitely suggest, and something I've been telling my clients as well right now.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you for the work that you do with many people, helping them out. So, during this pandemic, people might be unemployed, might be underemployed. Like, what is the changing landscape that is happening now for people, and what should they be thinking about?
Well, as of last February, just this past February, we were at a record low for unemployment, right? So,
Mm,
Kareem, we were actually at about 3.5%. And that's a low that we hadn't seen for 50 years. So things were really comfortable. But then, of course, we had this pandemic that came upon us suddenly. And now we are, etching higher on that unemployment rate, getting closer and closer to about 20% unemployment in the US. And so that is, staggering, and it's compared to the way it was back during the Depression. So with these, changing times and the changing landscape, it can be really daunting for someone looking for work. But I want
Mm.
to encourage people. This is encourage. We're encouraging people today.
That's right.
So yeah, the figures are saying this and that, but the reality is there are some industries that are thriving right now. Industries like telecommunications, tech support, pharmaceutical, grocery industries. So we have some industries that are really powerful. Can we set ourselves up for success in some of those areas if our
Mm.
industry is suffering? And how can we be a problem solver? Now, that makes you the most marketable to any organization. So if you can find where you can shine and you can jump in and really help someone, now that is a strategy that will get you very far, will help you to move forward with your career.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. And so, thinking about that strategy is, so important, because we as people, no matter where we are, what's going on with this crisis, like we need to understand what the strategy is. And so, can you talk about what strategies are you like giving tips to your clients as they're looking for a job, or maybe they might have a job currently, but they don't know if they're going to be called back to work and they've been furloughed.
Yeah, excellent. So strategy, that's my sweet spot. I love talking about that. So there's a lot of things that can be done, but today I wanted to specifically talk about just a few. So the
Mm,
one we just mentioned earlier, which was, elevating your skills, right? Professional development, gaining knowledge, and really, expanding those skills. A lot of times clients come to me, they've been working in an industry for 8, 10, 12, 15 years and haven't really been developing their skills along the way. And so that's something that can be done right away, and that can
mm,
really boost your resume, showing the current uh, just showing your current skills and that you're really actively engaging with training, and it just shows your passion for what you do and what you can do. It makes you more marketable. And then number two, Kareem, I would say that tailoring your resume is huge. And so, what do I mean by tailor your resume? A lot of people say that, but what does that mean exactly, right? Well, it basically means that you really have to look at that job description and pull out those key terms. What specifically is this employer asking for? And make
mm,
sure that your resume actually speaks to that. So you have to tell the story on your resume of how you've utilized or implemented or actually, um, can move them forward, that organization forward, based on what you're seeing in that job description. Give them examples, and then
mm,
when it comes to tailoring, another thing that can be done is that you can use some technology to help. Uh, there's a website called JobScan. Uh, so it's jobscan.co, and you can
JobScan.co. Okay.
yes, and you can actually um, scan your resume, and you can scan the job description of the company you want to work for. And what will happen? It will share with you, um, what key terms you need to add. Like, what are you missing to really showcase your skills for that specific position? And you can do that to elevate and really drive home what you need to have on that resume to be most marketable. So I would suggest using some crafty tools like that. It helps you get through the applicant tracking system, which is the computerized way, so that it can bypass that and help you to get to those hiring managers a little quicker.
Cool. So you talked a lot about, scanning, putting your skills and your benefits, training. Um, let's say, for instance, people don't know where to start, right? Like, what would be like the tips that, like, the first thing they should do, um, to kind of say highlight what's priority in a job, just of a job post that they're looking for in their job description of their resume.
That's a great question. So, my first tip would probably be research, and then third, research.
All right.
So, the more you can research the industry, the better. So, how can you do that? Well, when it comes to job descriptions, you can you should be researching multiple. So let me give you an example in your industry. So if you're, let's say, a marketing manager, you don't want to just look at the job descriptions locally. You want to look at them nationally.
Mm,
And just say, am I, and asking yourself as you're looking through those job descriptions, do I meet the skills that are I'm seeing over and over again? So you don't want to just pick one or two places. You want to really look at what are all of the hiring managers asking for when it comes to a specific industry. Another way you can research is on LinkedIn. What are other people in my industry doing? Can I research that? What kind of credentials do they have? Do I have those same credentials? Should I be improving, getting a certification or two, joining a professional association? These are
mm.
all areas that could benefit. So I would say, yeah, researching and really knowing your industry inside and out and connecting with people in your industry to ask for some support when you can.
Wow, that's awesome. Listen, you know what? You're on hitting on something about, I just want to expand upon that research piece because people, yes, there's systems, right? Computer systems when you upload your resume, you send your resume in that scans, um, your resume, your application. And so the research also should be how can you make a connection on a personal level. And so, I think that if you're researching a company, understand who they are, but also who's going to be hiring might give you a leg up when you're looking in for a job opportunity. So, what type of resume, other tips? I know we start talking about job search and research, but like tips that you would give people that they should be doing now, even they might have a job now, but what should they be doing to update their resume or to kind of craft a better resume for themselves?
Well, before we get into what they can do to craft themselves and update their resume, I want to back up because you said something really, really key. And you talked about relationships. So,
Mm,
technology is one way that you can tap in and kind of get ahead of the competition. But another way is that what we call the hidden job market, which is making connections, right? Because there are tons of positions that are posted. But if you make a connection with someone, within an organization, you may hear about a job opening before that job opening ever, hits a, a, a platform, online, a job board. So, when you do apply for a position, it's really good for you to go on LinkedIn or try to make connections within an organization. But even before you are even looking for a position, start making connections with with people in organizations that you maybe even want to be in the future.
mm,
Sometimes we sort of do things a little backwards. We're like, oh, I'm out of a job. Now I've got to start networking. Now I've got to start, gaining more credentials. Now I've got to start. And it's actually, should be the opposite. You should begin with the end in mind, which means start thinking about this and have a plan, maybe a 3 year, 5 year, 10 year plan. Where do I want to be? And start working on that while you're already employed. And that way you'll be set up for success and already have your networking game going before anything happens. Then you mentioned getting your or keeping your resume up to date and what can you do? Well, we were discussing this earlier, Kareem, and we mentioned that your resume is a living document, right?
mm.
So, what you really want to do is you want to make sure that your resume is being updated constantly. So, if you go to a training, make sure that training and information's on there. You get a new credential, make sure that information's also on there. So, these are some things that we can do to keep our resumes up, active, and ready for whenever we need them. Again, workforce ready.
Workforce ready. I like that. I like that. Workforce ready, right? Getting the resumes done. Listen, she's dropping a lot of tips and knowledge for you all. So listen, I think I put a post in the comment section. If you have any questions for Charise, please put them in the comment section so we could take a look at them. But the interesting thing, listen, resume stuff now is almost like a science. I'm gonna be honest with you. So I've talked to tons of people that said, listen, I submitted my resume and I never heard back from anybody. It's because today's resume market is totally different, especially when computers are using like you said, scanning tools. And so can you say once again, what is that? Is it Job Scan Pro?
Yeah, jobscan.co. That's
Okay.
just one of there's many, but that's just one tool that you could use to just help you to learn how to better tailor your resume.
Hmm.
And it just kind of helps you through the process. The goal is to try to get, and it'll show you a percentage of, you know, how, you know, how tailored or how well you match that position. So if you put your resume in that you thought was tailored and then you put that position in there, a percentage will come up and it'll say maybe you're only 55% matched to this job. Well, I always
Hmm.
say try to get it to 70 or 80%. I would say at least 80. And it'll give you the key terms to add. It'll help you to kind of maneuver things around so that you can be best prepared for the job. Now, it's not the be all end all. Of course, you have to have the skills to be able to market. So you're not
That's
making up
right.
things. You want to make sure that these are legitimate skills that you feel comfortable and you know how to do. But we never want to forget about relationship management. Um,
Hmm.
that's really key. And that's a way where you may find out about a position before it even ever hits the job board, like we discussed earlier, too.
That's right. That's right. But let's talk about, you just hit on the point I always think about when talking with people. People usually say, Karriem, um, I want to apply for this job. I might not have all of the skills. Maybe I went to school for, say, for instance, it was, accounting, right? And so they have been doing, not really accounting, but administrative work, and they might want to be doing accounting or bookkeeping for someone, but they really haven't had all of the requirement skills, but they have like the education. Like, what would you suggest to people like that they have the education or have the training, but they haven't done the job skill or task yet?
Yeah, this comes up a lot, especially when I was working with college students. And I still do from time to time. But what happens is that, there used to be a time, Kareem, when you could negotiate and work directly one on one with a hiring manager and say, I don't
Mm,
have this, but I have that, and give me that shot. And so times are a little bit different. The job landscape is very competitive. And a lot of times, like you said, your resume is getting scanned and you're not really meeting directly one on one with an organization. So the things that I would recommend is number one, maybe starting at smaller organizations where you can gain those skills so that you can have your hands in a few areas and you might be able to get an opportunity that way.
mm,
But if a job description specifically says they want 2 to 3 years or whatever it is, and you have one on your resume or whatever, the best thing to do is showcase any volunteer experience you've had, any internships in the industry, and continue to work on gaining the experience needed. Because it's not uncommon for employers to accept some of those other ways as part of your experience
mm,
overall, even if it wasn't this exact position. So those are some ways. If if the ad says you need 5 years of experience and you're applying and you only have one, well, you're probably not going to get that call back because there's an expectation. So you really do have to meet the need of the job description itself, and work on it until you get to where you need to be. So careers are like ladders, right? Um,
mm.
you start and then
Say
you
that again.
continue
Say
to
that
build.
again. Careers are like what?
Well, it's like a ladder.
All right, I like that.
Yeah, you start here and you continue to build over time. And so that's not a bad thing. It's a way of developing your skills and learning about an industry. Sometimes we want to jump over the ladder and try to hop to the top of the ladder before we've put our footing on those other areas. And so that's something that we have to do. We still have to take those steps along the way. Um, but eventually we get there before we know it. We work hard and then we reap the results. But as you're
Mm.
going up those ladders, you're making those connections and networking, growing and educating yourself along the way. And it won't be long before you're exactly where you need to be.
That's right. Thank you. Thank you. You know, and I was thinking about, like you were saying, careers are like ladders, and your experience is is what your experience is, right? And so, you can't. There's not the saying "fake it till you make it," right? So you got to show your skills. But what happens is that if I apply for a position and I'm rejected from that position, what should I do?
Well, it may not have been a culture fit. So there's a lot of things that you can do. You can um, learn from it. If figure out maybe what skills you are missing. See, these are some of the things that the research is important for that you want to do up front to try to hopefully prevent that. But the right position will come along.
Mm,
It takes people many, many weeks sometimes to land a position. So, you're going to have some thick skin when you're job searching. They say it's like a full-time job to find a job, and that's absolutely true.
hmm,
And the right fit is out there for you. You just have to keep plugging away. But one thing I would encourage more than anything is try alternative ways. There is a theorist that talks about something called the happenstance theory. His name is Crumboltz, and it's a very well known career development theory, actually. And
hmm.
happenstance means being, it means you can be at the almost like being at the right place at the right time, or you never know where an opportunity will land in your lap. So,
That's right.
if you're trying only one avenue of finding a job, maybe just sitting at home behind your screen, maybe in your PJs, emailing off your resume and getting depressed about it, well, it might be time to switch things up. Maybe reach
Mm,
out to a nonprofit organization and say, here are the skills that I have, and I'm not, employed right now, but can you utilize them? Right? And use that as a skill builder because I've heard of many individuals that companies have made a job for somebody because
that's
they
right.
saw value. So there's those opportunities. So, volunteer to do projects for organizations to showcase your
Mm,
skills. Go ahead and volunteer at places that are meaningful to you. Fill your life and, um, you know,
that's right.
maybe even job shadow, have a mentor, join your professional association. So you have to do multiple things. And then that happenstance will happen. That opportunity will shine through and you'll say, this is exactly what I was looking for. And it will happen.
Mm. It's true. It's true. I remember one time, I applied for a job and I really wanted it, right? And so it was a great opportunity for me to be a training manager for a certain organization. And I didn't get the job, right? Somebody else was hired for it. But the vice president that was over the human resource area, I said to her, "Can I shadow you for a day?" She was like, "What?" She was like, "Why do you want to shadow me? I didn't even hire you." I said, "No, because maybe one day I want to be where you are. And so how about I just shadow you for the day?" So she was like, "That's awesome. I never had anyone ask that question that we didn't hire." And so she allowed me to shadow her for the entire day. She introduced me to her entire team, what was going on, had me in meetings. And then years later, she did offer me a job. I didn't take it because I wasn't, didn't want to do it. I was doing something else then. But that opportunity showed somebody that, listen, even though I didn't, get hired for a position, doesn't mean that we still couldn't have a relationship. So that's important. I share that with other people because sometimes we get down on ourselves because we didn't get a call back because we got rejected. But maybe we need to take it another step and say, listen, like Charise said, maybe I need to do an assessment why I didn't get the job. Maybe there was a better candidate. Maybe I was a certain fit. Maybe my job scan didn't go through the right way. But maybe call a person back, or maybe do another ask of, listen, can you give me some feedback? Um, so I just share that with other people. The other thing is that, so all right, so I have an interview. How do I prepare for it?
Oh, that's great. Well, first, I mean, I can't skip over the fact that you just talked about something amazing that happened, and I love you sharing that story. You showed that you had a lot of passion and enthusiasm, and you were a hard worker by allowing that company for you to shadow, and that was just a great thing to bring out.
Mm.
Um, I would say always have a great attitude because you never know, they could call you back, an
That's right.
organization. So still sending those thank yous, still being gracious. You never know what can happen, in the future. So keeping your attitude up is, and being positive is important. So
Mm.
interviews, huh?
Yep. How do we prepare for that interview, right? We got the call, right? We got to go in and interview, or nowadays, right, online or telephone. How do we prepare? What's some tips?
Well, some of the tips that I would recommend is, they say you never get a second chance to make a good first impression, right? So, how are you going to make your impression? What does that mean?
Mm.
Well, again, research, right? What kinds of pain points is the organization dealing with right now? How can you be a problem solver? What are some things that you're noticing? Finding out as much as you can about the organization, the department, the people in it, where you see yourself. Because if you can do the research to see yourself at the organization, all of that will shine through during your interview. You want
Mm.
to make sure you understand, various interview questions that are going to come up, obviously, but you don't want to be overly scripted. There's an approach called the STAR approach, right? So they might ask you, are you familiar with, doing X, right? And so
Mm.
just saying, oh, yeah, I know how to do that. Well, that maybe doesn't give the employer a full picture of what you can do. So you might have to give them a situation, specifically the task that you've done, and how what action you took, right? And then finally, what the result was. So you can kind of do that when you're chatting during that interview. If someone says, well, have you used, you know, Microsoft Outlook before? I don't know.
Yep.
And then you can say, instead of just, oh, yes, I'm familiar with that, you would maybe give them a situation where, oh, yes, I use Outlook quite well. As a matter of fact, I have reached out to so many people each day or week when I've been using this tool. And I also know how to flag people in there. I know how to blind copy people. I know how to do this and there and that. And what it has done, it's helped my company save a little time and money because I'm able to be really, strategic with this tool and use it in a way that maybe can elevate or help. You see what I'm saying? So,
Mm.
kind of showing where can you add your value and making sure you know your skills and your comfort levels, and how are you gonna tell that employer about that during the interview process? Important.
That's right. Awesome, awesome. So we got about like 3 minutes left. So please, people, if you have any questions for Charise, put them in the comment section there. Um, so I'm just thinking because I work with a lot of business owners, small business owners, and one of the things that they are struggling with right now is that people are at home, right? I need to open up my business in a couple of weeks or a couple of months, but I don't know if I'm gonna get those same people that are on unemployment right now to come back to my business. So, are there some tips for a business owner to what should they be doing now? Because it's almost like the business owner needs to go into recruiting and soliciting right their current employees or future employees, because some people might not even return back to work. Would you give anybody some tips around that?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's opportunity for businesses to consider temp or temp to perm staffing. So there are a lot of recruiting opportunities out there. I know I work with employers myself with some of that. So that can be one employment solution option.
Mm,
And staying in touch with the employees now, knowing what the landscape's going to look like and not waiting until it's time to
yes.
come back. So hopefully you're developing your relationships with your employees throughout this process and checking on them. Um, that will be a sure sign of some areas that you might want to improve on moving forward if you have staff that's not interested in returning. Um,
Mm,
but I would just say, just kind of keep a close knit, because even though we're remote, and it's difficult to have that, you're not having that one-on-one. You can have Zoom meetings with your staff, have one-on-one time, give them a call, ask them how their families are doing, and
Mm,
stay connected. Your business should be a community. It should be a family. And the people that are your employees should feel some sense of loyalty and excitement about working for you and with you. And if not, Kareem, we know a lot of people that help with organizations and helping them to thrive and build their relationships. I mean,
that's right.
you specifically, Kareem, I know you work with businesses all the time in this area to help them to be successful. So maybe they need to hire a coach like you. That's awesome. So you never know.
Yeah, well, thank you. Well, thank you. I mean, listen, I've been trying to, help people through this piece and say, listen, you know what? It's almost like you have to think about your business surviving, and then also you have to think about how do I keep my business thriving, when some of the people might not come back because they might be getting paid more on unemployment, or maybe during this time they are looking for a new opportunity, right? And so, it could play both ways. But if there's people out there that you need help to update your resume, you're thinking about a job search, or you're a business owner looking to hire people, and you need someone to help you out, listen, you gotta talk to Charise. She has the skills, she has the goods. She has helped people, hire and place people. She has helped people update their resume. So I would say, listen, contact her. I put the link to her website on here. And so, any last minute parting words that you have for us, Charise?
I just want to say thank you, Kareem, for having me today. It was a pleasure, and that if anybody is struggling with their employment, their professional documents, needing support in any way, shape, or form, feel free to reach out. I always have a listening ear for anybody that's dealing with that. Job search can be difficult, but you're not alone.
Mm.
Many out there are in the same situation, and we can work on this together.
All right, cool. Wow, I want to thank you very much for being our guest today, and I look forward to having you on another time.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Bye bye.